Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Knowing Wheel. As always, I'm joined by Jamie183. How we doing, mate?
I'm very good. Pretty tired, but we move and we've got another car to go over.
Exactly, yeah, we're 9 of 10 now. Only one more to go after today, and of course that is the Alfa Romeo. Apologies, this one's coming out a little bit late. You know, we did the roundup that we did on Tuesday. If you missed out on that one, go back and check it out, even, I should say. Jamie's very tired. I'm still feeling a bit under the weather. Things are going to be interesting today.
Watching.
Keep watching on Knowing Wheel. See who coughs more in this episode. But yeah, as always though, links to everything will be down in the description below. Clips, Spotify, F1 merch, Manscaped. It's all down there. Plenty of things for you guys to go check out. And yeah, massively appreciated if you do have a bit of a look around. But Jamie, today, though, talking about the Alpine A522, sounds more like a jet than a Formula 1 car.
Or
of course,
formation, maybe. Well,
Five...
missing a player, actually. Never mind.
You're missing a player, yeah. And you're meant to know football, Atlas, too.
Yeah, knowing ball, we should change.
Knowing ball, I don't think that's a good podcast name.
But yes, the Alpine is out. And strangely, they released two liveries. Obviously, we knew they were going to have the new BWT sponsor, because wherever Otmar goes, BWT follow. So yeah, one of them is like fully pink and basically a rebranded Force India. Not Force India, Force India / Racing Point / the pink team. But with Alpine logos on, which I don't like at all. But luckily they're only using that for the first two races in Bahrain and Saudi. And then after those two, they're back to their traditional, mostly blue, but with pink dashes here and there, which I do quite like that livery. I'm a decent fan of it. So yeah, what are your initial thoughts on both of those, Matt?
I really like both of them, in all honesty. I know a lot of people are going to give me stick for this. I was not really too sure what to expect when it came to Alpine's 2022 car. You know, really all the news from the team has not been positive so far, but both liveries I genuinely think look really good. Now, you said you're not a fan of the pink livery. I think it works better than the pink and blue one, but then again, I've always liked the pink BWT liveries, whether it's F1, F2, Porsche Cup cars, it always just works in my eyes.
Fair enough. I was never a huge fan of it at all, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not sure. If it was an original, if that was like the first time we'd seen that livery, or that style of livery in F1, I probably would like it more. But the fact that it is practically identical to the old Racing Point, even down to the number, because Ocon is still driving it.
That did make me chuckle.
You can't escape VWT and the pink liveries. But yeah, it's not bad, but I do massively prefer the other one, to be fair.
Fair. I can understand that. I think the other one would look better, of course, if it didn't have the pink bits on it.
Yeah,
just because it kind of seems like they've
very good.
Yeah, they've kind of half and halved it, haven't they, as well? And I think, yeah, last year's Alpine I still rank as the best looking car of last season. But you know, I think both liveries look quite good for the most part. In terms, though, of the actual car, Jamie, like we said, haven't had much sort of positive news coming from Alpine over the winter. You know, last year it was kind of accepted once Ferrari sort of got back to where they should be. Now Honda proved themselves that Renault had the worst power unit. Of course, they're still not supplying anyone as we head into 2022, so they probably aren't making much money off it either. Alpine are one of those weird teams, aren't they, where they should be right towards the front, but for some reason they aren't, and for some reason we don't expect them to be, when they are a factory team at the end of the day.
And their budget is right up there with some of the best. I just don't think they're very well run, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even back from when they returned as a factory team, like I obviously followed them very closely for a number of years when Hulk was driving for them. They're just very frustrating to support because they're wildly unpredictable. Some weekends they can be showing massive promise and be like, right, this is the growing year, next year they're going to smash it, and then the year after they're like back to 6th or 7th, and it's like, oh, okay, this isn't the one then, okay.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's interesting, but I mean, I backed them to finish 4th, I think, which is looking quite a reach, to be honest, but we'll have to wait and see. It could go anyway, really.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, they bring Oscar Piastri in, and 4th's pretty much guaranteed at the end of the year, at the very least. But Yeah, Alpine, when you look at it, like we said, obviously a very, very weird sort of history since their return in 2016, of course. 2016, no one really had any expectations of them. They basically bought a bankrupt Lotus. At that point, they had no development of it. Obviously, Jolyon Palmer carried the team to glory.
With that 1 point compared to Magnussen's 7.
He scored a lot more points the year after. 6th place at Singapore, thank you very much.
A lot more points than who?
Than himself.
Oh, great.
Hey, you got to improve. You're greatest rival in the sport.
Yeah.
Well, Hulkenberg ran out of air at Singapore, and that's worth at least in minus 40 points come the end of the year. But it's odd, isn't it, when you think at one point Alpine had a lineup of Ricciardo and Hulkenberg, and now they've ended up with Ocon and Fernando Alonso.
Genuinely, this is going to sound really biased, obviously. 2019, Renault probably had the strongest lineup on the grid.
No. I wouldn't go that far.
Actually, Leclerc and Vettel are pretty good.
Leclerc and Vettel had a lot of potential. Bottas and Hamilton.
I would take Ricciardo Hulk at that point in time. Over
no,
Bottas.
You wouldn't.
Bottas came off the back of a winless season. He was super low on confidence.
Yeah, but Hamilton's better than Ricciardo and Bottas is better than Hulkenberg.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. Don't give me that. Bottas scored podiums in a Williams.
In a third fastest... Oh, shit. We're not arguing about Hulkenberg here.
Hulkenberg is not as good as Bottas, I'm sorry. He just isn't.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
No, we'll agree I'm right. It's knowing weird.
Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, I'm going to put that as a poll in a couple of days' time. Bottas or Hulkenberg, just to try and settle this
dispute.
Just
recency bias will give everyone Bottas, but yeah.
I'll behave. What, you could say that Hulkenberg did nothing in his F1 career.
Well, pole position in a Williams.
12 years ago!
And we're going off topic already.
We definitely are.
Back to the Alpine.
Back to the Alpine. Looking at the car, though, again, obviously, we're recording this halfway into day 1 of winter testing. We're not really going to talk about that all too much today. Doesn't seem... It's an odd... like what we can sort of take away from this car, because it hasn't got anything of particular merit, but it also doesn't seem to have anything of particular weakness either, does it? Looking at the renders,
it just looks quite basic, almost like the default what we would expect. There's nothing really obviously amazing. There's nothing obviously terrible. I'm thinking like when we saw the Haas out on track compared to the renders. The front wing is just a flat plank.
How on earth they have 130% wind tunnel time and still develop plank of wood as front wing is kind of horrendous.
I'm not too confident about their aero setup, but maybe they know better than us. I doubt it. But with the Alpine, there's nothing obviously terrible. It just looks quite standard. So it'll be interesting how it works, like where it ends up compared to other teams.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it, where it doesn't really it doesn't make you think they're going to be awful, but it also doesn't make you think they're going to be very good either in 2022.
It's certainly a feeling that they're going to be about where they were last year, sort of like midfield. Sometimes they can be better the rest, maybe. Sometimes they're just off the pace all weekend, depending on the tracks and stuff.
It really just depends on what the rest is this year, though, doesn't it? I think is the other thing. But talking of their two drivers, though, we were discussing this actually before the podcast. Alpine are one of just 2 teams that go into this year where both of their drivers are Grand Prix winners, which is kind of insane when you think about it.
Yeah, very much so. And it's like, I thought obviously Ocon, I don't know how credible that win really is, but we'll not get into that now. But he is a race winner.
More credible than Gasly's?
Well, equally as credible, probably less in my opinion. But yeah, obviously Alonso, like absolute legend of the sport, going to bring a lot of experience, he seems to bring a lot of harmony to the team last year, which is
a lot of El Plan.
Yeah, very much planning for the future. So yeah, he's obviously a very, very high quality driver. Ocon's a very good driver as well. I still think Alonso will win out over the course of the season, to be perfectly honest, at 41. Is he?
Yeah, 41. No, I think he's 40. He will be 41 this year.
So yeah, it's a decent lineup. I wouldn't rank it the top of the top, but it's definitely one of 2 along with Red Bull that have 2 race winners, which is probably going to quickly change when Sainz and Russell turn up. But we'll get into that in a couple of weeks, I'm sure.
And Lando. Don't forget Lando.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Lando Norris. In terms, though, of 2022, though, Jamie, again, we've kind of touched upon this already. There's no massive expectation from us that Alpine are going to do really well. However, yeah, you have placed them 4th come the end of the year. What for you is screaming out then, out of interest, that they're going to have a really good car this year? Is it engine? Is it chassis? Is it drivers?
I think...
Is it something you smoked before the show?
The trajectory of the team, traditionally...
is a flat line.
It is a flat line, but like they tend to have very, very small increases year on year. And then there's a year where it all goes wrong. So I'm thinking like 16, 17, 18 was a definite growth.
Yep.
Then 19 fell back. 20 was a bit back into growth again. 21 they fell back again. So obviously
21 they won a race.
Yeah, but in terms of championship, I think they were maybe lower. Oh no, maybe they're the same actually. They were 5th. But Ricardo,
5th both
the
years.
car was
I think,
probably
weren't
better in 2020, I think, than 2021 compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, they had some very solid weekends, didn't they, with Ricardo at the helm?
Yeah. I think the team is very good harmony. New management, Otmar's going to do a decent job, I think. I don't know what it is. They're just one of those teams that always throw up something random that we're not expecting, and I've gone for a 4th place, so they'd be good for them. I think they'll probably take that if they can finish 4th. Obviously depends on how good the car is. You kind of just want to do the best you can with the car you have, but I'm sure they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, very, very true. Now, it's going to be difficult to judge. Like you said, you think Ocon, obviously Alonso, is going to sort of beat Ocon this year. Do we think, Jamie, this is going to be Alonso's last year in the sport? Obviously, we've got Oscar Piastri waiting in the wings.
Like, Alonso, as much as people vilify him, he does care a lot about the future generations of F1. He's obviously got his own go-kart track in Spain. He's got his own, basically, he's bringing the next generation through. He's always spoken about that being really something important to him. When you've got Oscar Piastri, who is going to be a top-level F1 driver, at some point for sure. Not Richard. He's gonna. He's only got a 2-year contract. Obviously, he's still an F1 driver. He's going to be selfish. If he wants to do more years, I'm sure people will, or Alpine maybe will extend it. But they've got to find a place for Piastri to go, even if it's not in the main team. Just find another lower team where they can load him out or something. They've got to find him a seat in 2023.
Yeah, whether that could end up being somewhere like Williams at some point in the future, Williams or Alpha or Haas, Alfa Romeo basically now depends on whether Teo Porcher's ready come the end of next year. Williams, it seems obviously with Albon going to Williams now, it kind of opens up this door, doesn't it? That other teams can sort of look at Williams as somewhere to place their new upcoming driver with a lot of potential.
And you feel like they'll happily take a good, promising young driver such as Piastri with open arms, really.
Yeah, he just cannot be left on the side, can he? Like we've seen from teams before there, of course. Yeah, Alpine have not had a particularly great history of putting their young drivers into Formula 1, but then again, it feels like we say that about most of the teams nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, other really than Red Bull, because they obviously have a team specifically for their young drivers.
Yes.
Everyone else is very... Ferrari tends to be okay, but they just don't have a massive academy, so it's very rare that one of their drivers comes into the sport at all.
Yes. Yeah, Ferrari much more will sort of pick up a driver that's here rather than bringing one in. Bold predictions then, Jamie, for Alpine for 2022, apart from them finishing 4th overall.
So I've gone for 4th place, obviously. I'll go for an Alonso race win. Why not?
El Plan is going to be back on top.
That would be unbelievable if he gets...
And the last time he took a win was 2013?
Yeah, Spain 2013 was his last win. Which is, getting on for 10
9 years ago. 9
Ridiculous.
years ago is insanity.
Yeah. So Alonso race win. I think it would be so cool if we get an old guard podium of Alonso, Hamilton, Vettel or something. Just Twitter would melt down if that happened.
It would only be the 4th time it's ever happened as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's barely... That's not even a popular podium. What I also would love is Alonso and the next generation or something. I remember the podium... Oh, which one was it? Was it Lauda and Senna and Prost was a podium once? Or wouldn't that never have happened?
Monaco 84?
It was some kind
I want to say...
where you see the pictures now and that's a generation of... Lauda obviously was amazing through the 70s and early 80s. And then you've got the next drivers who are going to be the next generation to the following decade. If we get something like that, even with... we saw it a little bit, I found, with Qatar last year with Hamilton, Verstappen and Alonso. in like 20 years, we're going to look back at that podium and be like, that's like 30 years of F1 on that podium. I think it'd be amazing if we see like, I don't know, Alonso and like Russell and Norris or something on a podium together.
Yes, yeah, it would be very, very cool.
Why not? I'll call that. That's a podium this year.
So Alonso, Norris, and
Russell will share a podium.
On a podium.
Maybe not in that order.
That is insane.
If that comes true,
from Jamie,
I want something.
No. Maybe. We'll see.
How about you? Oh, how many poles and wins? I'll go for 0 and 1.
0 poles, 1 win.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the other way then. I really think Alpine are gonna struggle this year. I'm gonna say 23 races, more than 8 mechanical failures.
Is that even that many?
Race DNFs.
Is that not quite normal? 8 across 46 finishes.
Well, I mean, it's not great.
No, but I'm thinking last year, like I guess the top teams barely had any, but
yeah, and especially when you consider how developed the engines are now.
I suppose. Although New Year's always give like new regulation changes tend to give a lot of teething problems for plenty of teams, so it's not out of the ordinary. I mean, obviously, Ricciardo's last year at Red Bull, he had 8 on his own. I'm thinking.
Right, okay, let's up the ante then.
Come on, figure it up.
12 mechanical failures across Alpine this year, 6 apiece.
There with a tally chart every time a Renault engine blows up, and you're like, get in, one more.
Exactly. 12 mechanical failures. I think 1 podium throughout the year.
Fair enough.
But it will, I'm going to say, it's going to go
Piastri.
to Ocon. Yeah, it'll be Piastri. Piastri will come in for 1 weekend after Alonso's given up. After his 11th mechanical failure in a row. Piastri's going to come in and win immediately. Just because Piastri things.
Yeah. Fair enough then.
That's the vibe we're going on.
What are we rating? Both the liveries, actually.
We're going to rate both liveries today, Jamie. Blue and then pink. Jamie, what are you saying?
Okay, the blue one, I do really like. I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
Think. The pink one, I like less. I'll give it a 6.
Interesting. I'm going to go blue, 7.5. Pink, I'm going to say 8.5. I am a big fan
Fair enough. So you're
of the BWT
watching
sponsors.
Bahrain and Saudi on repeat.
Exactly.
To see the pink livery all year.
To see the pink livery, 2 Renault power units going up in smoke both weekends, and a Hamilton, George Russell, Lando Norris 1, 2, 3.
Each race, yeah.
Both races, yeah. It's going to be the new Max Botver.
Yeah.
Max Botver.
Max
Hambotver
on the podium.
Max is going to be twice on the podium. Well, if Michael Massey can make it happen, I'm sure he would.
That's enough salt for today. We'll round it off.
Anything? Yeah, I was going to say, anything else to add, Jamie, before we round it off?
Don't think so. That pretty much sums everything up, I think.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much
Alfa
done.
Romeo on probably Monday. The video will go out.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get a video out either Monday. Well, Tuesday, obviously, we'll be back with a normal podcast as well. But yeah, we will try and get back out with another Alfa Romeo reveal. The very last one. Thank you all so much to everyone that has continued to sort of watch, follow, and enjoy these videos. You know, they've been fun to do over the last few weeks, but of course we will be toning it back as we head into the real season. But yeah, fingers crossed, obviously, if you guys are enjoying all the F1 coverage we're doing, make sure you hit us up with a follow or a subscribe. Obviously, follow us on Twitter as well. We're both a bit more active on there.